it's a Sunday, and you're going, what's Ian doing on the channel on a Sunday? Well, I've got Richard with me. That's why we're on. So, good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Ian. Pleased to be on.
Okay, well, this was sort of half a challenge that Richard was set by Alan Joyce, who's a great supporter of both our channels. Now, Alan set Richard the task of doing ranking the Led Zeppelin albums, and it was a great show because this is a guy that doesn't is out of his comfort zone. So I thought I'd really stir it and say on my live stream, which Richard and Alan, there's quite a few of us on there on Thursday night. So if you're not doing anything Thursdays, that's where's the place to be. I just said on air saying, right, I'm going to set you another challenge. Your top 10 songs. And Richard, being Richard, took up the challenge. So this will be interesting because I don't know what Richard's going to do. Mine will be a bit different because this is a die-hard fan.
Yeah.
And die-hard fans tend to miss off stuff.
Well, hopefully I don't offend every single Led Zeppelin fan out there, but I'm only picking what I like. And as I say, I am very new to Led Zeppelin, and I really do enjoy them. But they're not really a go-to for me. Although in saying that, preparing for that video a few weeks back, I had great fun listening to all their albums over and over again.
Yeah,
so I would say I'm more of a Zeppelin fan.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my top 10 and some bubbling unders, but I like majority of the tracks. There's not many tracks by this band that I go, nah, I don't like that. There's probably a handful. That's out of loads.
Yeah.
So let's get started because I'm really interested in this one. So over to you, Richard, for your number 10.
Okay, my number 10 is from my least favorite album of theirs, and it's Achilles' Last Stand from Presence. Now, this is over 10 minutes long. It's a really good galloping riff on it as well. I really do like the feel of this song, and some really good lead guitars as well. It tends to go off in different directions throughout the whole song, but yet again, 10 minutes, it has to, and it's my number 10. Great song.
Yeah, that song it's got a great opening riff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to leave this one off because it's hard not to put. Agonizing this was, but I love this song. That I've got live versions of it, and Jimmy goes off on even more tangents. But that was Jimmy.
Yeah,
it's a great song.
Yeah, I thought the album was a little bit stale, though. I really thought it was a little bit uninspired.
Yeah, that's probably.
I didn't know the circumstances behind that. I think Robert Plant was not very well, or he had been in a car crash or something.
Something like that. The whole album seemed to be lackluster in places.
Yes, yeah.
But that is the highlight of that album, without a doubt. So my number 10, I'm going to 1971 and the album Led Zeppelin 4. And it's a little track called Misty Mountain Hop.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This song, there's lots of things I like about this. I love John Paul Jones's keyboards on that. They're terrific. John Bonham's drumming is just sublime. But this song has got lots of memories for me. It's when I used to go to rock festivals when it was affordable for the weekend. This was one of them tracks. We'd sit round there in a circle, giving it all this, because it was that sort of feel to a festival, and that's why I love it. Fond memories of this. Great words. It's just a terrific little song.
I think that's probably the highlight of side 2 of that album. It opens side 2, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's the Mountain Hop, yeah. Yeah, very good song. Well, my number 9. Now, I said in my video I'm not a blues fan, which I'm not. I don't mind little bits and pieces. But this one is magnificent, and it's from the debut album, and it's Dazed and Confused. And it's just a huge, big, atmospheric blues rock number. I know it's a cover version, and I can't remember who actually wrote it. And Robert Plant's vocals in this are absolutely magnificent.
Right.
That's
Keep
my
talking, I'll check. I've actually got the page open.
Okay, so
let's have a look.
It's hard to talk.
Right. Track listing. It was done by Jake Holmes in 1967.
Right. Okay. So it's actually a relatively new song then. So it's not
Yeah,
one of those really early 40s or 50s blues numbers. So it's actually relatively new. Didn't know that, but it's absolutely brilliant, and it is quite long as well. It's well, it's not too long. It's over 6 minutes, but it's the highlight of this album for me.
yeah.
So that's,
I mean, I haven't put that one in again, but I do love it. I mean, the version on the song remains the same. Takes up one side.
yeah,
I mean, it's that deep bass from John Paul Jones that really sets the tones. It's not. It's totally different from the original.
yeah.
This is a better version for a
I've
start.
never heard the original of this.
It is out on. It is on YouTube. So go and compare it, but you'll probably find you'll still love Led Zeppelin's version. Okay, my number nine, 1969 again, because they had two albums that year. They released the first two in the same year. But this one comes from Led Zepp 2, and it's Moby Dick.
No, I don't like that.
Um, I just love John Bonham's probably the greatest rock drummer in
Mhm.
existence in my book. He showboats a little bit, but what is good about that is that riff, that dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
I love it. Um, yeah, I think this is a track for the diehards,
I
really.
think so.
Yeah, it's a great little track. And again, live, John Bonham is just something else. That's only one way to describe it. The only person that's come close to doing it as good as him is his son.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I didn't even know his son was a drummer at
Jason
all.
Bonham. Yeah, played with
Yeah.
loads of people.
Yeah. You can hear you know when John Bonham's drumming, it's a bit like Keith Moon as well. You know that Keith Moon is drumming, which I think is really good. That they have their own style. I
Yeah,
have a Roy
yeah.
Wood
There were
album.
some phenomenal drummers in
Yeah,
that era. We had Ginger Baker, Keith Moon, John Bonham, Bill
I,
Ward from Sabbath. Four fabulous drummers, and don't forget Mick Fleetwood. There was
yeah.
there's some terrific drummers in that part of.
I have a Roy Wood album, and John Bonham guests on a couple of the tracks, and you can tell it's John Bonham. And
Oh,
I think at the time it was from about 1978. Roy Wood was so delighted to have him on the album that he even mixed the drums a little higher to make sure everybody knew that John Bonham was playing.
yeah, brilliant track.
Okay, so number 8 now, is it?
Yep, number 8.
Okay, my number 8, and this is one that you will certainly not agree with, but I absolutely love it. Always have loved it, and it's Jamaica. The little, very loose chord reggae track from Houses of the Holy in 1973. I think it's fantastic. I've always loved it. And it's not only Led Zeppelin that did it. The Rolling Stones did it a couple of years later when they covered Cherry O Baby, and they had a really loose reggae track. And I just think it's really good, and always loved it. So I guess my number 8.
I don't dislike that track. I wouldn't put it as one of my favourites from the album, but it's a little bit different. But what it did show that Led Zeppelin were not just about rock and blues.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
They were just great musicians. Full
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that track at all, and I do quite like that one because it's a little bit different. My number 8, back to 1971 and the Led Zeppelin 4 album, and it's the brilliant when the levee breaks. I just
Good.
think that's got some of John Bonham's finest drumming. That bass
Yeah.
drum just booms, and the harmonica on it just blows you away. It's just a terrific track. What more can you say? I just love that track.
Yeah, I like it as well. Even though Led Zeppelin 4 side 2 for me is not quite as strong as side 1, but When the Levee Breaks is probably my second favorite of that. That's the final track, isn't it?
I
On the
think
album.
it's one of my favorite. It is definitely one of my favorites on that album.
Okay. Well, I have to show an LP because I can't find the CD for this one. My number 7 is from this album here, Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh,
And can you guess? I'll give you a guess. One guess.
whole lot of love.
No. It's actually Thank You. I love it. I really do. It's so laid back, and there's a really good keyboard in it. But it's a beautiful acoustic guitar solo in it, and for me, it's probably the highlight of that album. So that's
Yeah,
my number
I
6.
agree that there's so many tracks on that album that I could have put in this top 10, to be quite honest. they're, they're all good. I think I ranked it second in I think it's my second favourite Led Zeppelin album. Well, I think it is definitely one of my favourites because when I was playing, I played it and played it, and I thought, oh, you'll find out I had a dilemma with this album. You'll find out in a minute. Okay, my number 7, I'm staying with Led Zeppelin 4, and it's the beautiful Going to California.
Mm-hmm.
The acoustic guitar from Jimmy Page on that, it just shows that this man just can't just put out them heavy riffs. He knows how to play guitar. And I think it's one of Robert Plant's finest performances singing, full stop. I just love the textures on it. And to me, it is one of the best tracks on the album. Period.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great song. Now, I just said that I prefer side 1 of Led Zeppelin 4, but if I was a huge fan and kept on, I'm sure it would switch to side 2 because you're the diehard. I'm not.
You ask any diehard Led Zeppelin fan, Led Zeppelin 4, what's the best side? And they always go 2.
I say I would say 1, but okay, my number 6, and it's from this album here, In Through the Outdoor, and it's Southbound Suarez. I think it's got an absolutely brilliant, groovy riff to it. Now, whenever I first heard this, I kept thinking it sounds like something, and I had to rack my brain to find out what, and I finally got that it sounds like a track called Yell Help from Elton John's Rock of the Westies album. But it doesn't detract from it because it's such a really good sort of groovy song. It's different again. This is a really different album from anything they've ever done. And for me, this album is, it was needed after the blandness of, well, I think blandness of Presence. And Southbound Suarez, I think, is absolutely fantastic. I don't know if it's one of their own tracks or if it's a cover version. I have no idea, but I love it. So that's my number 6.
Yeah, I'm so glad that Presence was not their last album.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Into the Outdoor is not particularly. It's not. It's in my when I've ranked it. It was in the lower half of the ranking, but I don't dismiss it because there are some great tracks on, and that is one of them. It's got that sort of chugga on the train feel. That's what I like about it, and I think John Bonham sounds really good on that. He actually keeps that track going.
Yeah, I think it's got a more new wave feel as well because that was 1979, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was their last album.
Getting rid of that sort of blues rock sound and becoming a little bit more contemporary, and I think it works brilliantly. But as you said,
I just wonder what if John Bonham had not sadly passed away, what the next one would have been.
Yes, I know.
That is, would it have gone down some of the road that Robert Plant's solo stuff did? I don't know.
I don't think that would have been allowed.
No, I mean, more would have gone with, because him and Jimmy Page did that solo album, Last Train to Clarksville. And I think that was still very Led Zeppelin to me.
Yeah.
Okay, then. My number 6, we go to Led Zeppelin 3 now. And one of I can't remember if this is the opening song because I totally haven't listened to this album for a little while. And it's Immigrant Song.
Yeah, I like it.
Robert Plant. Them shrieks.
Mm-hmm.
Good as Ian Gillan shrieking. It's just a brilliant, that riff is just brilliant. And some of that guitar work from Jimmy on that track is electric. And also, I mean, the only other person I heard hit them notes like that was actually Jack Black. And he did it in the School of Rock film. Just leaves it enough. And he sings it really mimicking Bob Plant. It's brilliant. And it's just a great track.
Oh, I love it as well. And you're a big Sweet fan, Iain.
Yes.
Right, play Immigrant Song and then play Burning, the B-side of Hellraiser. And it's the biggest steal you'll ever get. The sweep nicked the riff completely from Immigrant Song. You probably don't realize it, but if you do play the both of them,
I'm going to play this after I've done this because I mean I
let
love
me know.
that track anyway. But
It's exactly the same. Exactly the same. Well, it's not exactly the same, but it's close enough. But it's a fantastic song, both of them. But Immigrant Song is the original.
it's just a classic.
Okay, so where are we at? Number 5.
Number 5, yeah.
From this album again, Houses of the Holy, and it is the Rain Song, which is I think the second track off this album. Absolutely a beautiful acoustic guitar and beautiful electric guitar playing at the same time, and then the strings come in and the song just blows me away. It's the strings I really love in this, and then you've got absolutely very atmospheric vocal from Robert Plant, and that's actually quite weird, but it works so well. I love it, and it's my number 5. But it's the strings, as I keep on repeating. The strings do it for me.
Yeah, I mean that song, that Robert's vocal on that, we would get to hear that sound time and time again on Robert Plant's solo stuff. That style of singing. I mean, especially when the stuff is done with Alison Krauss, it's got when you listen to Alan, it's this is this Rain song. Some of that, like that vocal texture.
I think it's because his voice is very, very deep in that song, and usually you're used to him sort of screaming like Bon Scott or whoever.
Yeah, it is a great song. Now, my number 5 is actually from the same album, Houses of the Holy, and it's a masterpiece from John Paul Jones. It's No Quarter.
Yeah, fantastic song.
John Paul Jones owns that song. Yeah. His keyboard work, bass work. People forget that John Paul Jones was the magic of Led Zeppelin, really. Forget Jimmy Page and forget Bob Plant, but it's Mr. Jones. He was the clever person. He was the musical genius. And the work on that keyboard, that subtle at the beginning, that textures. And then when it comes in with the guitar, he puts that little bit of keyboard on it to lift Jimmy Page. Brilliant. Great version on here, but the best version of that is actually on the live album. The song remains the same.
You don't find that No Quarter has got little shades of Pink Floyd in it?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what really jumped out at me when I was playing those albums. I think it's a fantastic song as well.
Oh, it's a beautiful song. Best song on the album.
Okay, my number 4, and it goes into what you would expect me to have, and it's the opener, Black Dog, from Led Zeppelin 4 or 4 Symbols. I love the stop-start of this. I do think it is copying Fleetwood Mac's Oh Well a little bit, but this is Oh Well is a heavy song, but this I think is more metallic, so it is, and it's absolutely brilliant, and the vocals are fantastic, and the guitar is what really makes this brilliant song, brilliant opener. And that gets my number 4.
I used to really like that song, and then a show come along called Shooting Stars. And Matt Lucas used it as He's a Baby, and it became popular and I don't want to hear this again. It's one of them tracks on that album, being a diehard. If I never hear it again, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But I don't take it wrong. I agree with it. It's a great guitar, but and when people latch on to songs like that and overplay it, the fans really go, "Oh, cool," But that's something that diehards do, isn't it? In any band, really. So my number 4, this is where I cheated a little bit because it's from Led Zeppelin 2, and it's Heartbreaker. But you can't have Heartbreaker without Living Loving Maid.
Right, so you're putting the two of them together.
Together because it's like they go together like fish and chips.
That's fine.
That brilliant riff, that doom doom, brilliant. And what I like about this track is that bit in the middle where you just got Jimmy Page going off on one, up the scales, and then it goes bang straight into Living Loving Maid. Absolutely killer tracks. without a doubt. I just love playing them too.
I'm not overly keen on the riff of Heartbreaker, but I think as the song goes on, the song improves. I think it's very. I personally think it's very plotty at the start, but as the song goes on, I start to enjoy it a lot more. But I do prefer Living, Loving, Made itself to Heartbreaker. But I totally agree with you. You have to have the two of them together.
Yeah, I don't like it on some. They put them on the, like the mothership, and they've split them up. Why? When you get to the end of Heartbreak, you're expecting that dum 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 dum, and it doesn't sound the same. There you go.
Okay, well, my number 3, and it's the opener to this boyo again. This is my favorite album, as the song remains the same. It's my favorite opener to a Led Zeppelin album. And the only way I can describe this is absolutely great riffing, great vocals, and I love it. It's just a fantastic song. And it's the perfect opener to any other album. So that's my number 3.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a great opener. That riff and that little crisp drum from John. It's just very crisp and short. And then you expect the vocal to be a little bit different than what it is. You expect it more of a oh, but you get this. You know what I'm saying? It totally hits you by surprise. Okay, my number 3. I'm staying with Led Zeppelin 2. And it's the track that's called What Is and What Should Never Be.
Yeah, that's a fantastic song. Nearly made my list.
I like it because it's a jazzy blues. You get a lot of little jazzy guitar bits from Jimmy on that. And of course, the bit that everyone likes is the dun 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 through your headphones.
Yeah.
It's a great track. It's a great blues guitar riff in that. Can't get enough of that track. I mean, I could have put the whole album on my top 10, but apart from one track with that.
Okay. Well, my number 2, not technically an opener, but it is an opener. I said the song remains the same as my favorite opener, and it is. But it's the opener of the second disc of this, and it's In the Light, which I think is an absolutely fantastic song. There's almost a Celtic feel to the start of this, which I really do like. Very atmospheric vocals. It's just a mid-tempo rocker. It's not a very fast rocker, but the lead guitar on this, magnificent, absolutely magnificent. And this was very close to getting my number 1 for the whole lot, but number 2 it is.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, Physical Graffiti is my favourite album, without a doubt. And that track, I was toying with it. It didn't even get my bubbly numbers but that opening is just brilliant.
Yeah.
Sets the side up.
Fantastic. Yeah. Brilliant.
Brilliant track. Okay, my number 2, I'm going to the debut album. Led Zeppelin 1, and it's that opening track. Good Times, Bad Times.
Yeah, fantastic.
What a way to say, hello, we're Led Zeppelin. Bam, bam. And the bam, bam. Brilliant track. Great vocal from Robert on that. And I also love on the the reunion concert, they opened up with that. And then everyone was thinking, will Jason be able to do what John did? Yeah, delivered the goods.
Yeah.
Even that opening bit, you settle. I mean, I will try to get tickets. Everyone tried to get tickets, and no one did. But you know, when it finally come out, because there was bootleg versions, but when you hear that, oh wow, does that sound like John? Yeah, great track. It's a great album. I know there's a lot of covers on that, but it's a super album.
Well, my number 1, and it's the 4th choice from my favorite album, and it's Over the Hills and Far Away.
Oh, what a lovely track.
Led Zeppelin, I don't know if they released singles in the States or around the world, but they didn't do them over in the UK. This came out in 1973. Now, to me, this is like, the song is in 2 sections. You get the great acoustic intro to it, but then it turns into what I call one of the greatest glam rock singles that was never released. If they had have adjusted it, maybe to take the acoustic bit out and then worked a little bit with it, this would have been a top 10 hit without a shadow of a doubt in 1973. It would have sat perfectly with bands like Slade, Sweet, and T-Rex and so forth.
Yeah,
I think it's
I totally agree with you on that.
absolutely brilliant song. It was a song shouting out to have been released as a single. As I say, I don't know how well it would have done if they had still kept the acoustic bit in, which I love. But maybe for the LP track, yeah, perfect. But maybe a little bit of a jiggling about just to have the electric bit would have been a huge hit.
Who knows? It definitely should have been a single because it's so catchy, that the glam rock bit, as we call it. I mean, you ask any Led Zeppelin fan about this song, and they'll say the same.
Yeah.
It should have been a single.
Been a single.
And it would have been up in the top 10 hit without a doubt. Okay, my number one is off my favourite album. And it's the Go on then.
Your favourite album is Led Zeppelin too, isn't it?
No, my favourite album is Physical Graffiti.
I'll just get right, hold on. Give me a minute. I'll guess Trampled Underfoot.
Kashmir.
Of course.
It's East meets West.
Mm-hmm.
That mystique strings that John Paul Jones come out. It's all right. It's all right. I've just been interrupted. You've the upgrade running out of time's gone straight on Richard's face. Poor chap.
All right, we'll get through
this in because I find that funny. That's right. I can see you now. Yeah. John Paul Jones again owns this track. If it weren't for them strings, it'd be an ordinary track.
Oh.
John Paul Jones elevates it. It's one of the tracks that became popular because it was in the Godzilla movie. But that riff, but it still remains my favourite song. It's just brilliant. It's brilliant live. And when they had the reunion, this was the highlight of that show. It was the best sound. It was just amazing. And I just love that mystique. I love any track that's got that Eastern mystique on it, regardless of which band it is. It just really stands the hairs on the back of my neck. Absolutely brilliant track.
Well, I was never that keen on that song, but I'm getting to really like it. As the song goes on, I think it gets better and better and better. You know, and it is John Paul Jones that makes that for me. I think it's really good. So, good choice.
Yes. Okay, that's our top tens, but I'm sure Richard's got some bubbling unders.
I've got 3 bubbling unders, and I'll just quickly read through these. And you already mentioned it, and I can never get this right. Is What Is and Should Never Be. I think it's a fantastic song. I love the chorus of it. It's almost like Robert Plant is actually riffing his voice. You know, it's the way the descending whenever he's singing the chorus. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, that bit after the guitar that goes through your head. You get that lovely vocal screech or whatever you want to call it afterwards. It's perfect.
I'm going to be boring here. I'm sorry, but I'm going to do Stairway to Heaven and Rock and Roll. Now, Stairway to Heaven, I think, is brilliant. I'm not as keen on the start of it, the folky type bit of it. You actually put up an ad for this video, and there's piano playing, and I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
that piano bit. But I love the song. I'm not sick of it because I've never really played it that much. And Rock and Roll is, as I said in my own video, is there any better start to a rock and roll song than Rock and Roll? It's fantastic.
Stairway to Heaven, I can't deny it is a great song, but I don't want to hear it again. I really don't. But Rock and Roll, that drumming from John at the beginning is just brilliant. Again, I've heard people try and do it, and it's not as good. I don't think they can. No one can hit the drums as hard as John. The only other person that may have done it and without the Keith Moon.
Yeah.
But no one else can get that. I don't know. There's just something about it. Was that a double? Was that a cheaty one, or have you got another one?
Oh, that's it. That's the three of them.
Okay, well, my first one's from Led Zeppelin 2, and it is Whole Lot of Love. Of all them overplayed tracks, I still love this one.
Right.
I just love that riff is just phenomenal with Led Zeppelin. I do like the CCR version as well. What was it? That used to be the Top of the Pops film.
Is it CCS?
CCS. Yeah, I mean that was Top of the Pops for me.
Yeah. So I actually prefer that. That's Alexis Corner, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great track. Again, it's got one of the best guitar solos. Again, that bass line before you get it, when you get the riff, it's John Paul Jones's bass line that lights that track up. My next one, we go to Led Zeppelin 3, and it's the Bronny Ass Stomp.
Yeah, so I like it as well.
It's a busking song.
It is.
I mean, exactly. I know because a couple of my friends, when we used to do these 24-hour stay awakes when we were kids. They both played guitars and they both knew that track, and we just do it in the middle of the night just to keep us going. And I've got memories of doing that. I just love it. It's just that album, Led Zeppelin 3, is all more folky.
It is very folky, yeah.
And it's got some great tracks, and that is one of them. And my last one, funny enough, is after our very last album, In Through the Outdoor. And again, it was a little bit different for them. And it's All My Love.
Yeah, it's not a bad song as well.
It's a terrific song. Again, John Paul Jones makes this. That the keyboard, and there's that bit where like in the chorus, that dum da da dum da da dum da da. Him and John Paul Jones, John Bonham in that, but like that, you know, they were. This is the engine room of Led Zeppelin. Doesn't matter if it was keyboards and bass, keyboards and drum, or drum and bass. Them two just knew what each other was thinking. I can imagine John Paul Jones going, "What can you do, bozo?" Yeah, we'll take that. And I think that's how how they worked. I think it's got to be because they play off each other, and that is good. And it's a great vocal from Robert Plant. Again, one of my favourite tracks from them last two albums, which are the weaker albums out of the whole catalogue. But that is an outstanding track from that album.
Yeah, no, I agree. Although if I was to cheat the way you did, I would put in Carousel Ambra, because it is so different to anything else. But that's just me. So
it's a bit different. Not particularly. As I say in my shows, not really my cup of tea. Which is another word that it's yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed that because your top 10, there's some great tracks in there that I didn't think you would have.
All right. Well, there, that's a surprise.
You're halfway to being a Led Zeppelin fan, Richard.
I'm halfway there, or well, a third of the way there, but let's put it that way.
Well, thank you very much, Richard, again, for coming on. I've really enjoyed this one. Well, I'll chat offline again sometime, because I think that 80s number ones and 70s number ones is a good idea. So we'll talk about that later. Hope you've all enjoyed this little extra. I'll be back tomorrow with Transatlantic and Alice in Chains classic album. So bye from me and
bye from me.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. See you all soon.